Welcome, viewers, to Let's Play Star Control 3. I am Flying McGuffin, and I will be your host. This game is, as you can see, was made by Accolade in 1996, not made by the people who made Star Control 2. And this was, in fact, the last Star Control game that actually made it out of development. There was a Star Control 4, I think it was just called StarCon, that was supposed to come out for the PlayStation, but never really made it past the development phase. But this game, like Star Control 2, is kind of an action-adventure game, but this has kind of a few strategy game elements to it, but not really. It's still got the same arcade-style combat, but the navigation is different, and it doesn't have the same type of exploring planets thing. Although that still does happen, it's just not as in-depth, let's say. And it was replaced by this colony system, which we'll get into later. But, yeah, this game does not have the best reputation. And I would say that, for the most part, this game really deserves its reputation. It's not as good as Star Control 2, or even compared to a lot of adventure games. The story is not that, great, but it is interesting if you have seen Star Control 2. It does expand a bit on that, and a lot of people who don't like this game just kind of discount it, but a lot of it does make sense. And it is unlikely that any other Star Control game will be made. There's a petition out there to have the Toys for Bob people make another game, and I hope they do, but I'm not holding my breath for it. It's been, well, let's see how many years it's been, and I don't hold out much hope. Star Control 2 is much better than this game, but it does have its good points. Like Star Control 2, it's a voice-acted game with a lot of puzzle adventure game type elements where you have to find things and give them to people and do little quests for people and stuff like that. You basically have to solve this galactic mystery of, well, in the intro we have to fix warp time. So, yeah. I would say that most people who complain about this game have never actually played it past the beginning. The beginning doesn't put you straight into the action like Star Control 2 does. You're not going to be fighting any Ilrath ships right at the beginning of the game. Oh, well, obviously the Ilrath aren't here, but because we killed them in Star Control 2. And we will go over what is different canon-wise between the end of Star Control 2 and the beginning of this, as much as I understand it. But there's not much more to say about it, and I'll talk about other elements of the game as we go. So let's get started. Alright, so now we've got this, which is the main map of the game, the star map, the quadrant map. This isn't too different from the other one in Star Control 2, except as you'll see here, it is three-dimensional. This here is the rotate menu, and it rotates the map. Now, also, this here is the game time. Basically, we can scale it by clicking on it, and we can turn it up and down. If we leave that clicked, the game will be paused. But we can't run the game paused like a Paradox game or something like that. We can only just change the rate and do that. We can't do anything while the rate slider is up. Anyway, obviously the first thing you'll notice is this big thing. This is Earthling system, and if we mouse over the thing, we can see that it is called Helios, and this is the name screen. It'll bring up all of the names of the places we know about. So yeah, on this little name box, this is mostly what the rest of the filters do, these little things here. This is the name of the system, and if we knew about any of the other systems, we can see their names, but we don't know what's there. You can see this, which is the ship screen. These are the ships. They're here, and we can apparently turn them off to turn all of the names on. But right now it's just filtering for the places we know about. But that is useful, as we'll see in a little bit. This is the colony menu. Now, as you can see here, there's a one colony. It is green, which means it's friendly, and this little symbol is the human symbol. It's just a little picture of the guy. Below that is our ships, as we noticed. This is our fleet, and this is our flagship, the precursor vessel they speak of in the intro. And this is a friendly, as you can see green, a friendly fleet in the system that we do not own. And it's owned by the humans here. Now this is a red symbol guy ship, and this is an enemy, but we don't know anything about that yet, so we won't talk about that. This is the artifact screen. The artifact screen will show up, and there are artifacts in the system that we have basically discovered and are doing stuff with. Right now there's nothing. This is the fuel screen, or the fuel thing. This shows us how much fuel is in the system that is available for us to get. So yeah, that's important to know. If you're going somewhere, you want to know how much fuel is there to see if you can actually do anything with it. A lot of times going to places will be just to get fuel, and the colony system, as you see here, the colony system is largely set up, at least it's largely set up from what I see, to get fuel. Yeah. We have other maps though. We have the system map, which basically shows the solar system of the star that we are currently at, which is Helios. And you can see here it's marked Earthling Colony on the third planet. Why is it always the third planet? I don't know. But you can see down here, there is a solar system map, like in Star Control 2, except that we don't see any of the ships sitting around. We don't see the star, and we can't move ourselves around freely in it. We can click on places, but they mostly don't do anything. Pretty much we can just click on planets or like click on fleets, but yeah, for the most part we just click on a planet and go there, or a moon or something. But to click on the moons you have to kind of click in this menu. You click this menu or this menu. I find it easier to click the top because it actually shows which planets we're going to, and most of the things that are interesting are highlighted, such as Helios 4 here, which has little enemy mans on it, and if you look at the menu it says anomaly. Now, and there's also other stuff here. As you can see, this one has a 100% colony, but below that's resources, and resources are basically, I don't know, like RUs from the other game. It's abstracted. There's no like getting, you know, radioactive things from Mercury or whatever, and so crystals from Pluto. Instead, they just have kind of a resource value, and as you can see, most of these planets are completely worthless, and they would not be good for any kind of colony, except maybe you can use them as like crew places, but it's not really worth making colonies that don't have any resources available to them. This planet does have resources, and as you can see from the temperature, oxygen, and nitrogen range, which is all we really care about now because we're Hootmans, this would actually be a good planet for colonization. And I don't know how a planet that is further away is hotter, but whatever. Maybe it's got like greenhouse gases or something. And then this moon has some resources, but it's not really worth considering. So I probably won't build a colony there, but I'll probably be building a colony here, and we'll go into colonies later. So there's also the orbit screen. The orbit screen is basically used for showing you the orbit of the planet you're around. You'll see how this is useful later when we actually get into the orbit of a planet. But right here you can see our RUs, our resource units. Basically money. It's also used for building stuff, for ships and things like that. So a lot of times you can use you just want to leave the resource units on a planet to do things with it. Fuel here is probably the most important thing, is fuel, which means you can get to and from places using the fuel. Landing pods are basically how we interact with planets, and this is ICOM. ICOM is our computer man's, and he will tell us hints throughout the game. We will talk to him after we do our business in the system. And then over here, the rest of this will be our inventory, basically. And below that, we have our crew screen. This basically shows these crew/colonists we have with us. The colony ship, which is what this is called, this is our flagship, it's called the colony ship, doesn't actually hold this many people, but it's got 40 crew, which is it's a downgrade from the other game where you could have like 400 crew if you really wanted to, but it is more quote-unquote balanced, if you want to think of it that way. But we do have 200 reserve crew with us, and we can use them as colonists or whatever we want to do with them. Okay, here we can see the different allies we have right now, and this will expand as we get more allies, and shrink as we lose allies, if we do. We have the Chimera, the humans, the Mycons from the hierarchy, and it's interesting to see the Mycons here, but they do have a point in the story. I'll explain why it's weird later. The Ors, who are our favorite buddies, happy campers. The Bakunk, who, I guess their cousins were too Scottish to come with us, and the Bakunk helped us out so much in the last battle that they just can't come here automatically. Our favorite bros, the Spathi, who, strangely enough, aren't locked behind the slave shield. I know they can drop the slave shields now, but the Spathi kind of wanted to be locked behind the slave shield. Let's see if they're as cowardly and unreliable as ever. The Cyrene, who are blue and have weird scales on their head. Not sure why. I mean, they were kind of blue, but they weren't this blue, and they're kind of creepy looking. Because the game, the graphics in this game for the people are puppets. Yeah, that's a whole lot of fun. And the human one actually doesn't look too bad. It just looks like a G.I. Joe, but I find the Cyrene and the some of the other ones to be rather weird looking. We have the Urquan, who joined us because they were so awesome that they wanted to join us. Now, oh right, the Cyrene. Why the Mycons are with us is really strange, because I think we must cause the Cyrene and the Mycon to fight over the fact that the Mycons destroyed the Cyrene's planet. I don't know if they forgot about that or what, but they're both important. Well, the Mycons, I can't remember all that much about the Cyrene do. I know the Mycons are important though. The Urquan, obviously, powerful guys, and we can basically recruit their ships when we find them. The Utwig, who are, cool guys, sort of. And then last, and certainly least, the Vux. The Vux hate us. The Vux hate everyone. The Vux are unreliable assholes who will, basically do anything and set up giant animal parks where they molest animals or something. I don't know. The Vux are weird, and they're here for some reason. They have a storyline to them. It's just kind of a plot hole that we would bring them with us with their Mickey Mouse pupils and stuff like that. They're weird and gross. I don't like that. Below this, and we'll see more guys later, promise. Below that is our ships menu. You can have a bazillion ships, and I don't remember what shows up here, but and then normally the planet will show up here. So, and then below that we have the colony menu, which we can't even access right now because I click on it and nothing happens. So let's fly over to Helios 3. Okay, so as you can see, we're moving rather slow, so let's turn up the speed a little bit. And I always want to turn down the speed right before we get there, because I don't remember if the game takes time while we're actually talking to people.
Hiya, Captain. Boy, are we glad to see you. Any problems getting here?
And this is the replacement we have for Commander Hayes. This is the human man. I will call him Commander Hayes out of ease or something mocking. He's basically sitting on this starship. Not as blinky as when we met Commander Hayes, but you know, he's dressed as Mega Man for some reason, but whatever. Why he's wearing armor on his starship is beyond me, but let's talk to him. It's nothing I couldn't handle. Going through space, that's what I do.
We were starting to get a little worried. After all, we're stuck here on an unfamiliar planet, in an unknown quadrant, and can't even fly out of this system without you. You are our last, best, and only hope of survival. And not just our survival, but also the survival of all the starfaring races, especially now that hyperspace travel no longer works, and your precursor vessel is the only ship capable of interstellar flight. But don't let that pressure you. We have faith in your leadership.
No, you better, dude. I won't let it bother me at all.
The first thing we need to do is find the other League races. They've been scattered all over the nearby systems by your precursor vessel's warp bubble transport.
That's another weird thing. The warp bubble transport. I don't think it's the same thing as the quasi-space portal. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. In any case, yeah.
How can we help?
Let's ask him some questions.
The Earthling Cruiser was built primarily for exploration, and not as a pitiless weapon of war. But we hold up pretty well in combat. We're not the fastest, but we are maneuverable. We have a short-range point defense laser, but that's best for incoming attackers. The main weapon is a long-range homing missile. The best tactic is to keep the enemy at bay and pound them with nukes from a distance.
Earthling Cruiser is basically the same thing as it was in the other game. Our ship is kind of just an upgraded Earthling Cruiser. It doesn't have the bit of laser beams and stuff like that, but it's basically got missiles, but they don't home, so it's basically just a lot more crew. And let's get some exposition from him for some reason. We should already know this, but exposition is exposition. We need to know this as a player.
Our main mission is to restore the structural integrity of the space-time continuum and restore galactic hyperspace travel. When hyperspace travel stopped working throughout the galaxy, we were afraid that sentient beings would be forever cut off from one another, doomed to never fly to another star. Ironically, the catastrophe happened not long after you beat the Urquan by destroying their ability to make war. When you destroyed their horrific precursor battleship, the Sumatra, we were safe in the galaxy. But even if you hadn't, the Urquan would have been crippled in space.
I don't think it's ironic that it happened right after after we defeated the Urquan, but it just is. I guess it's ironic that we stopped the Urquan because we didn't need to. Anyway.
Before the loss of hyperspace, you had returned to the precursor planet Unzervalt, where you were born. You were lucky to have been born there. Earth was suffering under the tender mercies of the Urquan at the time. Your parents didn't know it at the time, but being part of a crew that crash-landed on Unzervalt was the best thing they could have done for you. You grew up among abundant precursor artifacts and developed an affinity for advanced technology. You built a precursor ship, and the rest is history. You kicked Urquan butt all over the quadrant. Because you sacrificed your precursor vessel to stop the Sumatra, you returned to Unzervalt to try to build a second one. You were stranded there when hyperspace travel collapsed. You were stranded on the primitive world of Unzervalt for a second time.
Now, it says in the intro of Star Control 2 that we only had enough resources to build a skeleton of a precursor ship first time. Now, I guess it just assumes that we bring more resources with us and we can build a whole thing. This certainly isn't a skeleton ship. We can basically do the whole... our ship is as good as it's ever going to get. Which is unfortunate.
All the Allied races were sure they were stranded forever. We cursed our unworking ships that could not take us beyond our solar systems. And then you showed up. You had not only been able to build a new precursor vessel, but you found a way to circumvent the collapse of hyperspace. Your new vessel did not rely on hyperspace, but used a hot new precursor technology you discovered. the warp bubble transport. Most people had never even seen a precursor vessel. You had piloted 2.
Jealous? Let's not be a dick to him.
You rallied the Allied races to work together to seek the cause of the destruction. You even enlisted the repentant members of the defeated Urquan hierarchy into your newly minted League of Sentient Races. You described a strange experience you had after you destroyed the Sumatra, in which you traveled through a rift in time and glimpsed the future destruction of all sentient life. Candidly, many sentients thought that your vision was the product of delusions. After all, you were comatose when we finally picked up your escape pod. But you had the only means of interstellar transport, and the sentient races would have accepted a lot more eccentricity to get some mobility again.
Basically, people think we're crazy, or thought we were crazy. Now, it says that the members of the hierarchy came with us. There were only 3 members of the hierarchy with us. And some people didn't join us either, like Supox aren't here. What are they called? The Umga are not here. They're technically part of the hierarchy as well, but we saved them. Now, it makes sense that the Ilrath and the Thradash aren't here because we sent them to kill each other, basically. I'm not sure what the deal is there. And we'll find out what the deal is with the Kor-Ah, who are mentioned, so we'll see about that later. And the pterodactyl guys, I can't remember their name, they aren't here either, and they're replaced by the Pekunk. I guess this Pekunk just kind of absorbed them. And of course the Androthynth aren't here because they're all dead, because the Ors ate them. Or whatever happened to them mysteriously. Yeah, other than that, there's not really any people missing. The Supox weren't that powerful anyway, and we wouldn't bring those Druge assholes. And I don't think the Miller might show up either, so. But what ifs?
Sure thing. Anyway, you explained to all the races that the only way to repair the damage to the space-time continuum and stop the loss of sentient life is to uncover the secrets of the precursors. Since the mysterious Rainbow Worlds point Corward, and since many precursor artifacts seem to lie in that direction, we came to the galactic core. Your precursor vessel's warp bubble transport carried ships from each League race and scattered them to different systems in this region of the Kasari Quadrant. Now, all you have to do is find each race and establish contact with them.
Yeah, seems like an inefficient way to travel. Scatter everyone. It's like we're crop dusting with ships.
We need to pick up stocks of cryogenically suspended colonists from each League race and establish their colonies on Kasari planets. The colonists are in suspended animation, ready to be thawed out as we gain the resources to properly put them to work colonizing and searching for precursor lore. All of us pledge to be loyal to the League, and to give our lives if necessary, in order to restore the integrity of the fabric of space.
Okay, so we're done talking to Foe Commander Hayes here.
Talk to you soon, Captain.
Bye, Mega Man. Anyway, yeah. Turn the speed down again. Okay, So, let's go check out this anomaly here. Oh, first, let's go into the menu here. Okay, this is the orbit menu, and you can see the planet here, and the data's here. What you can also see is the planet neuters here. These guys are around the planet, but not in our fleet. So let's talk to ICOM and see if they can give us more hints. ICOM is operating normally. Let's talk to them.
ICOM online.
ICOM is basically Hal, but he's creepy looking. I mean, just like Hal. Basically, Hal just gives us hints.
A signal received from an emitter on Goshen 4 confirms the presence of a Spathi colony.
It's basically just telling us where to go. I don't think he tells us anything else at this point.
Signal received.
No, he doesn't.
ICOM offline.
Just turn them on, turn them off as well. If you look at, as I'm mousing over places, you can see that there's different colors. And if you look at the different people, you can see their little bars going up and down. Now, this is a human colony, so it's maxed out for humans. But if you look at the spathy screen, you can see the bar kind of moving as we move to different areas. And as you can see here, right here would not be a good place to put a spathy colony. But right here would be fine. So, yeah, you have to take that into account when you look at different planets. But most of the time, you just want to build planets for the or put colonies of planets for people that you want to use their ships on. And eventually, we will find everybody and establish them and build the ships as we want. We can transfer resources to the planet or take them as we want. But what they do with them is here on the colony screen, you can see there's these little buildings. We've got a fuel refinery, which refines resource units, or ore into fuel, excuse me. Mines get the ore. This is the ore units. And basically, if you turn the fuel refinery up, it will use more of the resources on the planet to use the fuel, to turn it into fuel. The mines harvest the resources, and basically I'm allocating workers here. The refinery basically uses the rest of the resources to be used as resource units. Now, resources units are used to build ships and stuff like that. And as you can see, we have 0% on the factory. These buildings basically build themselves, and it requires the factory to finish them. But you can see here we got a starbase which builds ships, a landing pod factory which builds more landing pods because we use one every time we go to a planet. Every time we interact with a planet, except for just talking to people. And a research thing, which research is not used for like getting technologies. We're not going to learn aesthetics or something from them. They're used to research artifacts, as you can see here. We find them, we bring them to the thing. And this is the ship built queue, and basically build one ship at a time. And when it's finished, it'll be put into orbit. And this shows the progress of the ship. This shows what the factory is doing and what kind of progress it's getting on that. It's how many resource units we have, how many ore units we have, and how many colonists we have, the population. So you can see we have 200 people here. And then if we go here, we can actually pull some of them to our ship, but I'm going to leave them here just so there's more workers. You can actually put more on there, but I'm not going to, and I don't want to take anybody off, so I'll have a little bit off my ship. And those are basically reserve guys. So, to kind of show what else we can do, let's go to this planet.
DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC 5576 squared. DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC 888 warning. Utilization to the 356th power divided by warning. DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC warning.
Wonder what these guys' names are. These are the DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC. They are Cybermen. They are basically floating geo dudes with their guts hanging out. They have triangle heads and some arms. Well, let's introduce ourselves.
DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC 5299 and 58X. DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC warning. 321B avowal. DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC.
Well, they're talking to us in math, and I don't understand math because I'm a starship captain, not some kind of math scientist. Say something that makes a little more sense.
Inversion 982 torque. DAC-TAC-LAC-PAC.
Okay, so this is the combat, and like in Star Control 2, I'm going to be using a controller for this, but we can change our hardware settings here. Basically, this is the human player's settings, and we can change the keyboard controls to, or change the controls to use a keyboard, the joystick, or a mouse in this game. And this is for the hyper melee thing, and it's, better things. This is basically the difficulty, and I think this just applies to Hyper Melee. If not, it's on Super Hard, but I'm not sure if that applies in the actual game. So basically, I'm just using the controllers. It's basically the same thing as Star Control 2, but we'll see the difference here. Obviously, we can only pick this one, and I forgot to pick up the human ships, the other planet. We'll be fine, probably. And as you can see, we're basically a souped-up human cruiser. What I did was basically run away from them and fire my point defense laser at him. Didn't say anything because the fight was too short. Basically, that's your secondary weapon. We are a superhuman cruiser. So, to end this session, let's check out what we get on this planet. And we're already here. Let's check out in here. As you can see here, if we look at it, we've got a lot of good habitation for humans. But as you can see, there's no resources. So we're not going to do anything about that. But what we can do is we can click on this, and basically decide which place to go, and this will determine the efficiency basically of discovering what's here. It doesn't really mean anything. We're gonna send like 10 crew to pick it up, and we pick it up and look at it here. It's a precursor artifact. It's like a big M. Why the Dak-Tak-Lak-Pak were guarding it is beyond me. So basically what we need to do is we need to take it back to Commander Hayes and talk to him about it. Now he's going to ask us stuff, but...
Hi, Captain. How can we help?
I got nothing.
Talk to you soon.
But they talk to you every time you go to the system. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to pick up these ships, put them in our fleet. So now I got 4 ships. And because our ship is basically the same thing, only bigger than them, and they actually have homing torpedoes, I might use them. But I like the defense laser on this for the ship we just fought. But you might notice that our factory has increased more, but we don't actually have a research station here. So we can't actually do anything with our big M that we just got. So yeah, and one thing we need to do is we need to get some more of this stuff, because we don't have enough to get to Goshen, and Goshen is where we want to go, as ICOM told us. We need to go find the people there, the Spathi. So let's find Goshen on the map. Didn't do it. Alright, because artifacts turned on. Now, why did that do it then? There we go. Okay. So Goshen is... Let's find it. Right here. So as you can see from our little menu, it's quite close to us, but when we click, let's see better. When we click, it brings up this little thing, and Goshen, when we select it, is purple. That means we can't go to it. We don't have enough fuel, so basically we need to get more fuel. And the only way to get more fuel is basically to wait here. But while we're waiting, let's expend even more fuel and take this planet here that actually has resources on it and start a colony on it. No reason not to, since we're going to be here waiting. It does cost us some fuel to move back and forth, but you know, it's fine. So you'll see me constantly adjusting this too. Basically, yeah. And as we can see here, it's good for human habitation except in the blue areas, which is too cold, I suppose. Let's find a place that's as good as we can get, and we're not going to get any better than that, so let's put it here. give them some resources because it helps them build the facility faster. It's probably not optimal, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's give them 200. That works. And give them 50 crew. Less. That's fine. Let's create a colony. Bonk. So now we have a colony here. And I'm going to turn up these, and I don't really care. Well, I do care about the factory for the fuel refinery, so let's just turn the rest of this crap off. Basically allocating my workers to that. 51 workers on everything. And I'll leave that like that. I'll turn it down a little bit. There we go. And basically all we can do now is wait. So, yeah. I'll be cutting the episode here, and I will see you next time.